Greetings everyone and welcome to Kingdoms and Castles, a new first taste miniseries for the channel. This game is, as you can see, in alpha, and this actually was recently, I say recently, a few months ago, was successfully backed on Fig. Now, you can get hold of this game and play it right now. You can still back the game, although the game has already been successfully funded through a Fig campaign. You can still be a late backer, though you do need to purchase one of the higher tiers in order to gain access to the alpha. Now, this game was designed by Peter Angstad and Michael Petticord. I am almost certain that I've butchered your names. I offer my humblest apologies for doing so, but it's one of these things that I just do. I'm terrible at names. Now, Kingdoms and Castles, as the name might suggest, is kind of a medievally little game. It's got a lovely little art style, as you can see in the background. We're just going to jump straight into a game. The chief enemies in this are Vikings and dragons. Pretty good enemies, all things told, and occasionally trolls, because, you know, Vikings bring trolls. Completely historically accurate from what I can tell. Now, we are going to be playing on easy because I've only really put a few minutes into the game just to learn the basic controls and some of the really kind of foundation mechanics, just enough to get us going. So we'll start at easy and see where we go from there. If it seems a little bit too easy, then we'll move up to hard. Now, this will give us long summers, short winters, that's good for food production, and so less raids on the whole, which is grand. Now, at this point, we can choose our own map. You can cycle through the maps as you please. Now, generally speaking, ooh, this is nice. Generally speaking, you want somewhere that's got reasonably close access to wood and stone. Though that little lake there and the fact that all of this is fairly infertile ground, the greener it is, the more fertile it is, does put me off that little area for now. Let's keep looking. Ooh, this seems interesting. And I like it because it is interesting. Maybe we will found our kingdom here. This is actually probably going to be a little bit of a tricky one to play on. Now, I'm going to pause it for a moment just so that we can get our bearings on the land, and then we'll unpause and start building. Now, at the moment, more or less a kind of sandbox mode is all that's to the game. This is alpha 4.1, I believe. Now, I'm thinking we could either start somewhere around here or about here, because we do need ready access to both stone, which is the pale looking rock, and trees, which are obviously trees. The dark colored rock, this is unusable stone. You can't do anything with it. The rust colored rocks are iron or laden rocks. So those are worth bearing in mind. Now over here we do have fairly good access. It would be a nice little forested kingdom with quite a lot of fertile land as well. Yes, I think we have found the site of our new domain. Now, the only problem is it's going to be right on the coast, so Viking raids, fairly easy, and we won't have long to deal with them. But sure, okay. Let's unpause it, and that'll probably be one of the last times that I'm going to pause it. Now, the first thing you do is you place down a keep. Right there, I'm going to plant it right amongst these trees. It's going to be lovely. But that is going to mean that initially, we're going to have a bit of extra work to do to clear things out the way. Now, unfortunately, it does also mean that we've got this rock is going to be a part of our main keep. But yeah, there are worse things that could happen. I'm kind of thinking that maybe this will be more of a kind of a minor noble, maybe more of a manor to start with that just kind of builds up. And we'll have our own little woods inside the keep. That is absolutely not realistic. If you're building a fort, you're building a fort. If it's built for war, it's built for war, and that's the be all end all of it. But we'll have humble beginnings, and we'll see where things go. Now, the first thing we can do here is we can check on the advisors in the keep. The military doesn't really have much to say yet because we're not going to be under attack. The city advisor says we should grow our kingdom with roads and houses. Roads are pretty much everything is built off roads, except the roads themselves. They can be built off the keep as well, because you've got to start somewhere. Good day, sire. We'll need farms first to feed our workers. I agree. And it is winter, which is kind of bad. Happiness is not too bad. We've got a reasonable amount of food down there, but we're going to need to start getting working. Now, ideally, I would really like to be able to see where I was building these roads, but either way, we're going to be building out from this tile because that's the entrance into the keep. Right-click cancels. You've got all of these different things you can build here for the castles, and this game kind of has a bit of a Banished mixed with Stronghold vibe, if you ask me. That's where I would put it, squarely in the Banished / Stronghold kind of camp. Right, so those are going to be our initial roads. And the first food structure I'll be building is an orchard. Now, an orchard is a 2x2 structure, and it needs fertile ground. You can't have barren ground, which is why I kind of earmarked and built around that little area there. Now, we're also going to need a couple of other things. We've currently got 12 wood. Well, you know, that's not too bad, I suppose. I would very much like to dig up this tree here so we can build a little quarry and we can actually start gathering up some wood as well. Now, we're going to place 2 houses there and we're going to allow them to be rotated just so they look a little bit more interesting. Then we'll have an orchard right out in front. Now, we need 15 wood for that. It's going to take us a little while. In terms of industry, we're going to need 15 wood for the quarry. So, yeah, we're going to probably have to get to that sooner rather than later. And we'll also chop down those trees as well. Now that we've actually got beds for our people, they're happy. Well, happier. They can sleep on a bed. There we go. We'll place a quarry. Now, the problem with the quarries is going to require a lot of people working on it. Now, the current food output is 25 per year because it's not fully staffed. If it was fully staffed, it would be about 52, which would be quite nice. There we go, 52, because they no longer have lots of jobs to do, which is good for us. And that'll start coming in. We can currently only store 50 food. And that's the storage inside our keep. Now, it's starting to snow. That, yeah, that's going to be really bad. Our people are going to hunger. They're going to starve through this winter. Sorry, guys. You're just going to have to tighten your belts. I mean, come on. There's a forest right there. Why aren't you out catching rabbits? Scallywags. Just waiting on your apples to be ready. My lord, I've got a kingdom full of lazy sods is what I've got. Let's slow this down a little bit, though. They are going to get very, very unhappy very quickly. Hopefully, we get some food from there quickly. We'll go ahead and we'll place down... Sure, we'll go ahead and we'll place a couple of farms there. Just 3 farms for now. Honestly, farms should have been one I should have gone for first and foremost. The orchard was probably the worst idea there. However, I don't want people working in here. It's taking all 4 people... And, 4 out of the 8 people that we've got. And I would rather you all getting to work down here for now. Let's build out this a little bit more. There we go. And then we should be able to get in some food before people all die off. Let's speed things up and see how it goes. They may actually not make it through this winter. We are in a bit of a tricky situation. There we go. We managed to bring in a harvest from our orchards. There we are. Okay, so the immediate threat of death has been averted. There we go. A forester's hut. Now that has an area where it will work. And I'm thinking over here would be absolutely wonderful. If we just tuck in around there would be fine. So let's go ahead and we'd want a forester right about there. We'll need to run the road up. So let's go ahead and grab you. In fact, sure, we'll take it out and then up along here. So about there. Now you don't need it to run all the way up to the building. It will increase speed whilst people are walking on the road, but you don't need that. So we'll pop that there. And this way we can also have another quarry up there later on as well. And also a storehouse, because ultimately it's going to kind of be annoying for them to have to carry that all the way down. So I've got to wait on 3 more stone. So we'll allow them to get back to work at the quarry there. And we should be bringing in the stone fairly quickly. There we are. We've got 3 stone. Now the only issue with putting the stockpile all the way over there is that's going to likely be outside of my initial keep. That is the fortified walls of my keep. So, you know what? I think I might in fact put it there instead, right next to this quarry. There we go. Now on that note, we'll notice that they didn't get all of the food there. If we check on our advisors, sire, it took too long to store our harvest. Some of it was ruined by winter. Improving paths to a granary would help. So there we are. That's going to be our first real project to help with our food situation, is pop a granary somewhere around here. Now, that being said, this tile there's no point in worrying about that tile. In fact, I'm going to break that tile down. The reason why I say that is that's a barren tile. There's nothing useful can be put there except maybe a well. However, these tiles are all fertile, so I don't want to waste them. I would rather, in fact, build out the road around it. And I'll show you why I'm building this particular design in just a moment. But we do need a granary, and perhaps a granary around here would be reasonable. It's going to take a fair bit of stone, but it'll give us a lot more food storage. And 15 wood. We should be able to get that fairly quickly. We do need some more houses, though. So let's go ahead and pop down. Let's look for somewhere that's more barren than not to place these, just so that we're not wasting fertile land. And sure, we can place something up here. I think would not be a problem. We'll have one there, and then another one there, and again we'll rotate them just because I prefer them to have not look like terraced houses. Basically, I like it to look a little bit more organic. Now we are going to build a well as one of the first optional structures that we build. We haven't had a problem with fires yet, but that will become an issue in the fairly near future. Now, as for the granary, I would like to build that right about here, I would say. Sure, we'll butter up right against the rock face there. And there we go. Now, it's going to take a little while for that to be built, but once that's built, it's going to massively increase our total food storage area, which is going to be brilliant for us. But now we've got 250 as our maximum, so at this point, we're completely free to open that up. In fact, we'll still have one idle farmer. Now, with that done, the next thing that I would like to get is perhaps... We could go for the town square, but honestly, I don't think we need one just yet. And we're doing okay with the quarries for the time being. I think we need more houses, but instead of having another little house like this, we're going to actually build a larger house. We're going to build a cottage. Now, it's going to take 25 wood and 10 stone, and I also want to make sure that I'm getting this positioned correctly so it looks nice. Unfortunately, the door is right there. How inconvenient you are. I shall place you over there. Instead, we'll have that little cottage there, and instead we'll pop this one over here. Now, if we have a look at these, happiness, base happiness, wants access to a road, wants access to a well, has a neighbor, +8. So they actually like living next to each other. So well access, has neighbor, wants access to a road. So they do actually want to have the road next to them. They're just not going to get it, I'm afraid. These guys, though, they will have it. So let's run that all the way up there. There you go. There is your road access. Now, they have access to a well. We could build another well over here, and that's probably a wise idea. Now, it isn't just that it makes them happy, it also gets used to put out fires, as you can probably imagine. That is very, very important. So we're about to get a fairly big bump to our population. Currently, in terms of food, we've got enough people that we're getting most of the harvests in before winter is over. Yes, in fact, we got all of the harvest in, which I'm actually fairly happy with, to be perfectly honest. We'll let our people just finish off these little bits here, but we've got a lot of beds now. So we're going to start getting to the point where we're vastly out-eating our food production. So it is time, I think, for us to lay down a couple more fields. That will easily be worked by the incoming population boom. We're also getting fairly well stocked up on all of the items there as well. Our stockpile is looking quite good, and it's probably going to be soon that we want to start considering putting up some defenses, because currently we have no defenses. If the Vikings invaded, they would just walk in, they would carry away various people, and they'd also set fire to stuff just to prove a point, and it would be entirely deserved because it would be our fault that they were allowed to do that. The overall happiness in our town is actually pretty high. Now, I want to build a mill because it improves the productivity of farms in a radius and does not affect orchards, that radius being the 8 squares around it. 1 square is not going to be getting this bonus because it's a barren square, but, you know, having a well there is just as well, I think. Oh, but want a charcoal for heating and cooking. Okay. Well, we can definitely look at that. The basic houses don't really care for it. That's not something they really need, but charcoal might be something that we want to set up fairly soon. That will require a charcoal maker, and we could pop that perhaps. Well, the charcoal maker can be put anywhere, more or less. It isn't a building that needs to be built on fertile ground or anything like that. So I'm going to pop it up there. We don't really need to worry too much about the food. We're actually getting quite a lot of that. It is time, I think, for us to start looking at defenses. And for that, we are unfortunately going to have to cut away that little part there. Now, for the castles, we use stone, obviously. In fact, on that note, we've got no idle people, so it's fine. Right, the way you build, if we want to get any taxes, we have to build a throne room. And in fact, let's go ahead and build that over here. When we build a throne room, it's going to affect our actual castle itself. And this is true of all of the castle structures. But by building this, I can actually start taxing my peasants. So, boom, there we go. And that's upgraded our castle. Now, the upgrade to the castle is purely visual from what I can tell. You don't actually get any benefit from it. There's no, like, knights or archers will stand on the turrets or anything like that, unfortunately. But that would be cool if it was something that happened. A fire has started. Oh, well, drat. Will people... Ah, good. Okay. So they went to the well, they got water, they put it out. Good times. Right, let's slow things down and actually start building the castle, though. So we're going to start over here, and no better place than this. Eventually, I want a gate right there. So we'll have 2 turrets either side, and this will build the basis for our gates to cross across them. Now, if you're building a wall, you simply place more of these down, and they will build a wall between them. And it intelligently works out what it should look like based on the tiles around it. We are going to want a little bit more stone, though. We do quite badly need more people, unfortunately. Given that, then, perhaps what I should do is add maybe 1 or 2 cottages over here, something along those lines. Do you have charcoal, heating and cooking +4? Dislike smoke and charcoal maker. Really? Really? You scoundrel. Very well. I guess what I could do instead then is perhaps even build a charcoal maker down here. Alright, we'll get rid of this one, you fussy git, and we'll build it down here instead. I mean, you dislike the smoke from a charcoal maker. Well, that's impressive, because charcoal makers don't actually produce that much smoke. Usually you just build it into a mound. Let's go ahead and we'll build a road down here, I think. We're going to build out our walls around there. For now, we're going to build out the road back here. You are going to gain road access, which you've wanted for so long. And then we're going to build another cottage. And this one we shall build. Let's go ahead and pop you down. Yeah, right about there seems like a good place to pop it. There we go. We might need an extra well, I don't know. In the meanwhile, though, we are getting a little bit of stone. We definitely need a lot more people, though. That much is clear, because I want another quarry. In fact, we're going to go ahead and build that quarry right there. And we will run the town road all the way up. Now, the gates are extremely expensive compared to everything else. So bear that in mind, that if you are building the gate, you are committing to using up a lot of stone. And it's going to look a little bit weird for a while. But for the time being, we're doing okay. We're bringing in a lot of food. And you know what? I'm going to pop down a little road just here, just because it'll look better when it connects up there. And generally speaking, I'm fairly happy with the way our little town is growing so far. But I am getting a little bit worried about our lack of defenses. That is something that I want to work on. Right, what we're going to do down here is we're going to finish off this little wall around the corner there. But here, you can actually build it up. By adding an extra layer to that, they'll just increase the height of the tower. And you can do that on walls as well. But we're going to be increasing the height of the tower first, because that's going to come into play with the gatehouse. In fact, we'll also finish off that wall there as well. Now, it is mostly the stone that is holding us back. Have we got any idle people? We do. We actually have quite a lot of idle people. How's our food holding up, though, given that? We may still be doing okay. We may still be doing okay. It'll be interesting to see. Now, over here, I'm thinking of having a bridge running across there, and probably a bridge running across... Oh, no! No bridge running across there! Scallywags. Well, that is scuppered to my plans, these bloody rocks. Well, there's no way to get rid of them currently, or at least that I'm aware of. Now, we've got a lot of idle people, which is good, because we're soon going to be needing a lot of idle people. We'll build the stone gate first. As you can see, the gatehouse is pretty big. It takes an awful lot of stone as well. So we're going to want that one at least one higher. But we are going to need some gold. And although I built this, I forgot to set the tax rate. There we go. Now you all need to pay taxes. I know, it's terrible. There's going to be a 66 average home happiness because they don't like taxes. There are some other buildings that we can build, though, that will make them happier. Taverns, for example, churches and the likes. They all take a lot of stone, so it's probably going to be something that we'll get to in time. But there we are. That will be one of the gatehouse towers fully constructed, which I'm going to be happy about. And with that at the top, once we've got a little bit of gold, we've already got 13, that's not too bad. We're actually getting there pretty quickly, all things said and done. We're going to continue to build up this tower. Now, the Vikings are not stupid. They won't attack from a direction that is heavily fortified if the other direction isn't. So although I'm building this area up here, and I'm going to put an archer tower up there, now understand the taller the tower, the bigger the range the archer tower has, and I can actually demonstrate that in a moment once we've got enough gold. But if you leave the back end of your kingdom completely undefended, yeah, then all the defenses in the world won't matter at the front because the Vikings will just attack you from behind. Because, duh, they're not dumb. Unfortunately, it would be significantly better for us if they were. Let's go ahead and place down 1 or 2 farms just on this side. This will just be a little farm area right up against the ocean there. Right, so with that done, let's go ahead and demonstrate. So we've got a very large range up there, much smaller range down here. There are other weapons, and these are unlocked by building the Chamber of War, for example, which we can now build, but it is a big building. That being said, it seems as if this were preordained. It will fit exactly in this space. Well, I see no reason to say no then. Let's go ahead. Pomp. There we go, the little charcoal burner right behind it. That is fine. That gives us a big old keep there, and we're producing more charcoal than we need. It's actually going up quite quickly. Now, the Ballista Tower shoots slowly but high damage. Good for taking out more dangerous enemies. So let's go ahead. No, I like the idea of having that perhaps on a secondary tower, a shorter tower out on the side. So we're going to build this little wall up there and have that there. And this one will be a regular archer tower. Now, idle people will man these archer posts. You can see in there, if I get really close, you can see little archers up there just waiting to do their job. And we've upgraded the walls as well. And I quite like the way that the walls develop as you build them out a little bit. But we'll pop our first ballista here, and we'll actually have it facing the ocean. Maybe we'll be able to catch some of those scallywag Vikings before they even make landfall. I don't even know if that's possible, but it's something that I'm going to hope for. And then we'll build this tower up to a similar height as these towers and then put archer towers on top of them. But I think that's a good place for us to wrap up this episode. Our little kingdom's doing not too bad for itself. It's not very well defended. I mean, this side is fantastically well defended, but again, your chain is only as strong as the weakest link, and there isn't even a link over here, so it's not really much of a chain. Currently, our chain is just a series of rungs that we haven't actually woven together. But we'll be doing that, hopefully, in the next episode. Do let me know what you think about this series so far down in the comments below. And as ever, remember to like if you liked, sub if you haven't. But until next time, do take care, everyone.